Hey guys, it's Mr. Feltham. With today's video, we're going to be talking about solving equations involving absolute values. And to give you guys an idea of where we're going to end up with this video, we're going to solve equations just like this one. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so how do we solve an equation involving an absolute value? Well, if a is a positive real number, and if x is any algebraic expression, then x is equal to a, or x is equal to negative a. So let's go ahead and solve for x is equal to 5, where 5 is going to be our a. All right, so when we do that, we're going to get x is equal to 5, and x is going to be equal to negative 5. All right, let's move on. So this is getting a little trickier now. And when we're working with polynomials, we gotta make sure that we don't forget to check our extraneous solutions. This is extremely important with absolute values because you're going to find a lot that the solutions we come at first won't work out when we plug them back in. All right, so let's give this one a shot. So we're going to set 2x equal to a. So x minus 6 is equal to 2x. And x minus 6 is equal to negative 2x. All right, now let's solve for both of these. And when we do, we'll get negative x is equal to 6. So x is equal to negative 6. And over here at the red one, we're going to get 3x is equal to 6. So x is equal to 2. Now we have to check for the extraneous solution I was talking about earlier. So we have to plug in our negative 6 and 2 back into our original equation. And so when we do that, okay, so we solve that, we're going to get the absolute value of negative 12 is equal to negative 12. Well, we know the absolute value of anything negative is positive, and so this is just going to be equal to 12, but 12 doesn't equal negative 12, and so this is not a solution. We can't use this one. All right, but let's try it for 2. So we have the absolute value of 2 minus 6 is equal to 2 times 2. And so this is going to be equal to negative 4 and 4. And so, like I said earlier, the absolute value of anything negative is positive, so 4 equals 4. So we put the check mark on this one, and that means x equaling to 2 is our only solution. All right, so let's move on to a different example. All right, so let's work on this example. Here, x is going to equal a, and so we're going to get x squared minus 2 is equal to x, and x squared minus 2 is equal to negative x. All right, so let's solve for both of these. We're going to get over here to the left, x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. And so when we factor that down, we're going to have x minus 2 times x plus 1 is equal to 0. And so here, we get x is equal to 2 and negative 1. Now we're looking at our red one. Let's set it equal to 0. So we get x squared plus x minus 2 is equal to 0. And when we factor that down, we'll get x plus 2 times x minus 1 is equal to 0. And so our answers will be x is equal to negative 2 and 1. All right, but we're not done yet, right? We have to check for our extraneous solution. So let's go ahead and plug these in. So let's plug x equal to 2 in first. So original equation, absolute value of 2 squared minus 2 is equal to 2x, or 2 times 2. So when we do this, we're going to get the absolute value of 2. Is equal to 2. I threw in that extra 2 there, but it should just be 2 squared minus 2 is equal to 2, as you can see, because it's just x up here. Okay, and so we take the absolute value of 2, that's just going to be 2, and so 2 equals 2. And so we can throw the check mark on this one. And so we know that x is equal to 2 is a good answer. Now let's try negative 1. All right, so we're going to have negative 1 squared minus 2 is equal to negative 1. And so when we square that, we're going to have negative 1 is equal to negative 1. However, we got a problem though, because the absolute value of anything negative is positive, so these two aren't going to equal each other. We can't have x equal to negative 1 be a solution. All right, now let's look at our other two. And so for here, we'll have negative 2 squared minus 2 is equal to negative 2. So right here, this negative 2, right away we can just tell that x equal to negative 2 won't be a solution, because the absolute value of anything negative is going to be positive. And this is a negative, so we can rule negative 2 out. And to go back to here, we have to make sure a is a positive real number. And so since 2, or negative 2, is not, we can rule this one out. So x equal to negative 2 is not a solution. However, let's try x equal to 1 now. So we have 1 squared minus 2 is equal to 1, which is the absolute value of negative 1 is 1. And so the absolute value of negative 1 is 1, so this one checks off. And so x equal to 1 is the solution. So our final answer is going to be x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 1. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this last one. Right here, 1 is going to equal a. And so we'll get 2x squared plus 4x plus 1 is equal to 1. And 2x squared plus 4x plus 1 is equal to negative 1. All right, so let's solve for x with the blue one. So we do that, we set it equal to 0. So we'll have 2x squared plus 4x is equal to 0. So we factor 2x out. We'll have x plus 2 equal to 0. So therefore, x is equal to either 0 or negative 2. All right, let's go ahead and solve the red one. So set it equal to 0. We get 2x squared plus 4x plus 2. We can factor a 2 out of this equation. So we get 2 times x squared plus 2x plus 1 equal to 0. And so we can factor this one down. 2 times x plus 1 times x plus 1. And so our solutions here are x equal to negative 1. All right. So let's go ahead and give this one a shot. So let's plug x equal to 0 back into our original equation to check for any extraneous solutions. And so we're going to have 0 plus 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. So this one checks off right away. So we're good here. However, I don't even need to plug in this negative 2 here. Oh, sorry, apologies. Sorry about that. No, we are going to plug in negative 2. Okay, and the reason why I was saying that, I was thinking this top part right here was equal to x, but since it's not equal to x, it's something we still need to plug in. Okay, so let's plug negative 2 in. So we have 2 times negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative 2 plus 1. And so value that is equal to 1. So we do this, we're going to get 4 times 2, which is 8, minus 8 plus 1 is equal to 1. And this is just going to be equal to 1, equal to 1. There we go. So this one works out. Boom. All right. Now let's work with the red one. Plug negative 1 in back to our original equation. And so we do that. We get 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 plus 1 is equal to 1. So when we end up putting that all through, we'll get 2 minus 4 plus 1, which is equal to 1. This is going to be negative 1, which equals 1. Cool. So that one's checked off. So all of our solutions here work. So x can equal to 0, negative 1, negative 2. All right, cool. So that's all the examples I have for you guys. I hope you learned a lot in this video. I'll see you guys Friday afternoon.